let's be honest. If you're starting out in data, learning SQL, wrestling with Excel, trying to make sense of your first dashboard, you probably feel like you showed up to the party about 10 years later. Because everywhere you look, everyone's flexing about their new machine learning models, about the Gen AI chatbots they built, or the 30-page thesis they dropped on optimizing ETL processes. And you're just out here like, I just learned my first left join. Get it, it's overwhelming. And the internet just makes it significantly worse. It's like that one loud cousin at family dinners who just doesn't stop bragging about his startup. Because here's the truth that nobody really tells you. People who actually make data work in the real world, they're almost never chasing hype. No, they're the ones that are building the boring habits. They're the heroes writing comments in their code. Yes, actual comments. Fixing column names before the meeting, not after it turns into a dumpster fire. Cleaning up shared folders so you don't have to go on a scavenger hunt every time you need a report. I know, boring sounds like the worst party name ever. Because nobody gets into data to the thrill of documenting edge cases or updating their company wiki, and absolutely no one's flexing their folder naming conventions on LinkedIn. Because can you imagine? Check out my cool final version 3 XLSX. Because when you think about a great data nerd, what do you see? Gen AI, machine learning, impactful dashboards, maybe a cheeky little GitHub link in the bio. You know, the glamorous stuff. But the real data nerds, they're the quiet ones doing the boring stuff every single day. They understand the golden rule, that unsexy habits compound quietly, but their results always scream. They're the reason that your first dashboard didn't crash and burn on your first day. They're why your team didn't lose their minds during, the end of quarter crisis. They're the reasons why the quick data request didn't turn into a 2-week fire drill. While you were busy Googling the newest Python visualization packages, they were out there doing the real magic, creating order, building shared folders that don't just look like digital junk drawers, naming things like, responsible adults, writing comments people can actually understand without a PhD in cryptography. And here's the thing, the better they get at this, the more invisible their work becomes. Because, nothing breaks, nothing slows down, nothing feels urgent. And that's not luck, that's compound reliability in action. But when the team's stuck, confused, or on fire, they're actually the first person everyone calls. Not because they scream the loudest, but they ship calm into chaos. So if you feel like you're lost in the hype, just remember, you don't need to be flashy. You just gotta be solid. Unsexy, boring, reliable, and totally indispensable. Let's talk about the habits that nobody really claps for. The ones that won't really get you any likes on LinkedIn, but will definitely get you promoted. Yeah, the real MVP stuff that nobody's really hyping on social media. So here's your daily greatness checklist. Take notes, because this is adulting for data nerds. Starting off with documenting your work. Because good documentation isn't about really being formal. It's about being kind to your future self and everyone who ever has to read your documentation or your code. Use your dashboard or, debug your queries. Because remember that time you revisited a dashboard from 3 months ago and thought, what was I thinking here? That's what happens when you don't document your work. Because great analysts leave breadcrumbs like, what did I do? Why did I do it? Where could it go wrong? Your documentation should actually take less time than a TikTok video to consume. Make sense? And it should also save someone from actually scheduling a 2-hour Zoom call to just decode your logic. Next would be keeping a project log. Every tweak, test, or, I swear this worked yesterday moment. Write it down. Just a few lines. What you tried, what didn't work, because, it almost never works. And why it even mattered in the first place. Because this isn't really extra homework. This is speed insurance. Senior data nerds don't really rely on memory. They rely on notes. Because memory is like your phone battery at 2%. Unreliable and, often panic inducing. So, yeah. Asking questions early. Here's a secret. Nobody expects you to know everything. I know, shocker. But what will actually set you apart is how quickly you ask smart questions. Instead of building for hours on assumptions, ask questions like, what does this metric actually mean? Where's the data coming from? Who's actually using these dashboards? Because you're not being annoying, you're just saving the team from confusion down the road. Because every unchecked assumption becomes technical debt on the longer run. And you don't want to be the one who builds a castle on sand. You know what I mean? Next is folder hygiene. If your repo looks like a crime scene with, titles that look like this, you're not really being clever. You're just the reason everyone's wasting time looking for the right file. Because you have to name your files clearly. Use date prefixes, add readme files to every single folder, because your future self and your teammates will bow down to your organizational prowess. Clean structure isn't just pretty, it's a force multiplier for collaboration. Lastly would be over communicate before it becomes an incident. Because look, data disasters don't usually explode overnight. They sneak in like a bad roommate leaving dirty dishes in the sink. If something smells off in your model or a number just doesn't pass the gut check, say something, be loud about it. Ping your lead, Slack the team, leave a comment on your dashboard or whatever you can to get someone's attention. Don't wait until the CEO is staring at that report and asks you why your company made a negative sale in the third quarter. That's expensive for a data nerd. So yeah, the boring stuff. That's the stuff that makes you a legend when the spreadsheet apocalypse hits. You do this stuff. You're not just the data nerd, you're the data nerd that everyone needs. Let's go deeper. Why does this boring stuff actually matter? Because data isn't just math and statistics. No. Data is communication. You're not just pushing out numbers, you're producing belief. And belief spreads through clarity. Because picture this. You ship a model, it works, everyone's happy, champagne emojis, raising hands, everyone's patting your back through Slack. And 3 months later, someone's gotta tweak it and your variables are named A, B, and C. And the file is called, final, real, please use this version 4. Someone sounds like a really bad dating profile. No context, no notes. Now your working model, it's a liability for the business. And guess who's on call trying to explain this to the team at 3 a.m.? Yeah, that's you. Because here's the thing. People don't want to work with brilliant analysts who ghost when things break. They want partners, reliable ones, predictable ones, and habits build that reputation. Not overnight, not with one flashy dashboard, but over time, in the small stuff. And the people who actually do that, they actually end up owning the roadmap. They get invited to the strategy meetings and they become the trusted voices. Not because they're the loudest in the room, but because they're the most consistent. So yeah, if you want to be that person, the one that people rely on when the data hits the fan, start with the boring stuff, because boring, it's actually a secret weapon. So one time I was mentoring this junior data analyst. Let's call her Lena. Now, Lena, she didn't really have a fancy resume. She didn't have a boot camp badge, certifications, whatever. She didn't even have a flashy internship at a big tech company. All she had was a spreadsheet habit and a serious coffee addiction. Yeah, I think she still had that problem. But here's the thing. She cared. During her first week, Lena made a personal glossary. Every weird acronym the team threw around, she wrote it down like it was the lyrics to a Beyonce song. But the second week, she built what she called the dashboard graveyard, an archive for all the unused reports and dashboards that nobody really wanted to delete, but nobody used either. And by the third week, she started every stand-up with the question, what actually broke and how do we fix it? She wasn't really flashy. She wasn't building AI models that predict the stock market or running deep learning models on TikTok trends. She just noticed stuff. She slowly asked questions and people started sending her their work before it even launched. Not because she was, super senior, but because she caught the stuff that no one else did. Lena didn't build the sexiest models in the room, but she built something rarer. She built trust. And when the leadership opened a new product line and needed someone to handle the chaos, guess who they picked? Not the guy with the fancy degree, not the person with the longest resume. They picked Lena. Because impact builds experience. So if you're grinding in the background, just keep grinding. Because sometimes the quietest work builds the loudest reputation. Alright, so let's build your unsexy habit stack. Because let's be real, nobody's going viral for their README files, but these habits, they're your career's, secret sauce. Starting with the daily debrief. At the end of every day, ask yourself 5 quick questions in your notes. What did I work on? What changed? What assumptions did I make? What's still unclear? And what would confuse someone else tomorrow? Keep it short, keep it honest. This isn't a diary for your crush. It's a mental breakdown trail, so you don't really end up asking, wait, what was I doing again? Every Monday morning. And the bonus is, over time, this turns into a journal of how fast you're leveling up. Next would be the README ritual. Every project you touch, every dashboard you look at, every notebook you open, every SQL script you create needs a README file. Think of it like an FAQ for your future self and everyone else who'll get stuck into your code jungle. What is this? What does it do? Why does it matter? What are the risks? When was it last updated? Yes, it takes time. And no, it's nowhere near as exciting as learning the latest Python library. But every README you write is like a do not disturb sign for Slack pings, in the middle of the night when something goes down, because you already have all of that documented. Next would be the teach bank. Once a week, grab a piece of your work and explain it to someone. Could be a friend, could be a teammate, could be a project manager, your roommate, your dog. I don't really care. The goal is to speak clearly. No jargon, no technical, fancy wordings. Because if you can't really explain it simply, you're not ready to scale it up. Also, teach backs are like a gym for your storytelling muscles, which is what separates actual analysts from report monkeys. Next would be the weekly cleanup. Block 30 minutes every Friday, probably like 3, 4, whatever time you can. Tidy up your digital workspace, archive your old files, add quick notes to your dashboards, and clear out your downloads folder, because yes, I know how dirty it is. Update your stale documentation that you've been trying to push back for the past, however long, because someone has to do it. And at the end of the day, it's not about perfection. It's about keeping your house in order. Lastly, the monthly audit. Pick one project every month and do a reality check. Are people actually using this? Are the metrics still valid? Are the filters still clear? Can someone new understand what's going on? This is how you build long-term trust, and this is how you ship work that actually lasts. You don't become a great analyst by Googling ChatGPT prompts or binge-watching weekend courses. No, you become one by doing the small, boring, powerful things well. Unsexy habits build sexy careers, and consistency will take you places that credentials can never. Because at the end of the day, anyone can pull numbers, but very few can actually explain them, defend them, build trust around them. So, if you're earlier in your career and wondering how to stand out, start where no one else is looking at. Document clearly, clean your workspace, and communicate early. You'll go farther than you think and faster than most. So if you're starting out, pick one boring habit, stick to it for 30 days, and watch your confidence and clarity explode. If this video helped you, send it to your study group, post it in your Slack channel, and subscribe for more real talk on how to thrive in the data space. Because dashboards fade, but discipline is what helps you scale.